Hi guys. Okay, so if you haven't watched my Cookie Run Kingdom Lore Part 1 video, go watch that. It's out now because this is gonna be Part 2. Yay! Okay, so we left off in the other video with all the beasts and ancients going back to their homes because they're not gonna fight anymore. Okay, cool. Alright, I'm gonna tell you guys where everybody went, which is also important to the ships, which will be important to the story. You'll see how if I get to it in this part. If not, I'll have part 3. Okay, so Dark Cacao Cookie goes to live with Peach Blossom Cookie because gay people, yay! So they go back. Okay, he goes back to him. Gold Cheese, she goes back to her kingdom. White Lily also goes with her because lesbians. Okay. Obviously Pure Vanilla goes with Shadow Milk and Dark Moon Cookie to the Spire, so you know there's that. I keep losing track. Okay, and then Hollyberry goes with Eternal Sugar, also lesbian. Yay, yay, Yuri. She goes to live with her, and then what am I forgetting? Is that it? Golden Cheese, White Lily, Dark Cacao, Pure Vanilla. Did I already say Hollyberry? This is where the ADHD kicks in, y'all. Oh my god. Okay. Golden Cheese, White Lily, Dark Cacao, Pure Vanilla, Hollyberry. Okay, so that's it for them. And then obviously, so we know where Eternal Sugar went. She went back to her garden with Hollyberry. Silent Salt goes to the Fairy Kingdom because in this AU, Elder Fairy's alive, and guess what? They're gay. Can you tell I like gay ships? But don't worry, they're straight ships, I promise. Whether in the Beast Ancients or their children, I don't know. We'll find out when I explain it. Okay. And then Mystic Flower goes back to her pagoda. Pagoda? Is that how you say that? Yeah. She goes back there because, you know, that's where she lives. Burning Spice goes back to his tribe because where else is he gonna go, bro? Sorry y'all, I just got back from school. I'm tired. And then obviously Shadow Milk goes to Aspire. I think that's it. Eternal Sugar, Silent Salt, Burning Spice. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, in this AU, this is where you have to know this stuff, because if you don't, the children's storyline, it won't make sense. Okay. So, in my AU, soul jams are not just given to cookies that are necessarily created for that. I mean, yes, but like Pure Vanilla Cookie was made, right? They gave him a soul gem. In this AU, the current holders of soul gem, they need successors so it can be passed down through generations. Okay, which is where the ships come in, because this is gonna be a long one. Okay, all right, so Shadow Milk and Dark Moon Cookie and Pure Vanilla Cookie adopt. They did not make her, she was adopted. They adopt Sweet Drizzle Cookie. Okay, she did not look like this when she was a kid. Her story is she lived in a village with her mother. Her father died, sickness. So, but she lived in a village with her mother where her ears, because if you can't tell, beasts and ancients have these ears. Okay, like here's her, right? But as you can see, cookies who are not ancients or beasts don't have the ears. She does have ears, her hair's covering it. Okay, same with Pavlova Cookie, but you can see that they don't have the sharper ears. And so in her village that she used to live in, they were super, like, very superstitious about the ears. They were like, oh my god, that's a sign of beast, like they destroyed everything, like oh my god. So she was abused. She covers very not super too heavy topics, but things like SH and abuse, whether physical, emotional, mental, all of it. So yeah, but one day, you know, Shadow Milk is walking through there because, I don't know, he just wants to explore, you know. He's looking around since he's not really that evil anymore. Like, yeah, evil, but he's not doing anything. So he just went to go explore this tiny little village that he saw. So he goes there and he sees her and he's like, oh my god, because she had bandages on her arm. He's like, oh my god, like what the freak happened? And he already guessed what had happened to her arms, okay? And so he goes over to her and he's like, oh my gosh. Sorry if you guys can hear that. My dad's mowing outside. But he's like, oh my gosh, you know, have you ever wanted to like live in like a castle, you know, fancy place? And she was like, I mean, it sounds cool, yeah. And so he was like, how about you come live with me in my spire? And she was like, you want me to live with you? Like, you want me to live with you? And he was like, oh heck yeah, girl, like come on. And so she accepts. So he brings her through, you know, portal, because we know Shadow Milk loves his little portals. And he brings her through there, and they walk in and they're in her room, and he's like, this is your room, you know, like make yourself at home. I'll have my husband and my wife come see you later. And so while she's in this room, she's like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is way better than what I had at home. So she never goes back. Yeah, okay. So then, after Black Sapphire Cookie and Candy Apple Cookie find out that she's there, they kind of don't like her. Candy Apple doesn't like her because, you know, Shadow Milk pays a lot of attention to her, like to Sweet Drizzle Cookie and not to Candy Apple Cookie. Why? You know, like Candy Apple Cookie's like, I've been here longer, I should have his attention, like I love him, you know, like that's my master, my Shadow Milk Cookie, like why does she get all of his attention now? Sorry, I was noticing I forgot to color something on there. Anyway, but you know, they do that, and so at a point they're watching her train outside because she was just training, you know, trying to get stronger just in case she ever needs to, which she will need to, which I will explain in a minute. But did it just zoom in on me or did I get closer? I'm so confused. They're talking, like Candy Apple's complaining to Black Sapphire Cookie, and Black Sapphire Cookie doesn't like Sweet Drizzle Cookie just because Candy Apple complains all the time. So he's like, oh my god, can she just leave so Candy Apple Cookie can shut up? But you know, after a moment, at a point in time, they're still complaining about her while she's training, and Shadow Milk walks in and he's like, what are you guys arguing about now? Because he just assumes they're arguing. He's like, what are you guys arguing about now? And Candy Apple Cookie's like, oh, Master Shadow Milk Cookie, why don't you tell us why you keep that cookie around? And he's like, that cookie? Who? And then he's like, oh, do you mean Sweet Drizzle Cookie? And she's like, yes, like we know you only keep her out of pity, and that makes him mad, especially considering he knows what happened to her while she was at while she still lived in that village, and the other two, Candy Apple Cookie and Black Sapphire Cookie, they don't know. But he gets really mad and he's like, you can't even say her name, like, oh my god. So then Pure Vanilla walks in. He's like, oh my god, Shadow Milk, it's okay, like, yeah, they shouldn't be doing that, but calm down. And so they take, Pure Vanilla takes Shadow Milk Cookie back to their room where all three of Shadow Milk, Pure Vanilla, and Dark Moon Cookie, they all share the room. So it takes them back in there, and like Dark Moon Cookie's comforting him, and she's like, maybe you should tell them what happened to her. then maybe they wouldn't be so mean. And he's like, no, because that'll just give them more reason to make fun of her. And she's like, okay, well then I'll go talk to them. He's like, fine. When she gets bullied by them for it even more, don't come crying to me. And she's like, okay. So she gives them a little kiss on the head, on the forehead, and then she goes to talk to them. And she tells them, like, hey, she comes from a rough place. This is what happened to her. Maybe you shouldn't be so mean. Oh my gosh, I need to stop yawning. And, you know, after that, they're like, oh my god, I didn't know that. I feel really bad now. And so they go and apologize to her. They didn't say for what, so she doesn't know what they're apologizing for. She's just like, they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And she's like, sorry? For me? For what? And they're like, oh, nothing, like, we're just sorry. And she's like, okay, I guess. Oh my gosh. So after that, right, so as you can see in her design, okay, she has a stocking like candy apples, okay, and this is what I forgot to color, by the way, but she has a stocking like candy apples, and it's because Candy Apple gave her her other stocking, so that way they could match. And you see how she has this blue drizzle? She didn't always have that. She used to have chocolate drizzle. So, you know, but now she has blue drizzle to match, you know, the overall theme of the spire, thanks to Black Sapphire Cookie. Yeah. And then Candy Apple also offered to give her other kinds of drizzles that she uses for her apples. But Sweet Drizzle Cookie didn't really want it. She just wanted the blue one, because, you know. Okay. And this is Vanilla Rose Syrup Cookie, which, if you can kind of see that her eyes are colored like pure vanillas, and she has the colors of them all throughout her, because this is their love child, you know, exclusively. Just pure vanilla and shadow milk, not dark moon cookie. So, you know. And then I'll show you guys again, because I'm pretty sure I showed you already, but this is my Black Sapphire design. And this is my Candy Apple design. Okay. The reason why the children in this are so important is because of the successor thing. So, Sweet Drizzle Cookie is Shadow Milk Cookie's successor, okay? And I do want to say again, Dark Moon Cookie does not have a successor. She never did, she never will. No. Okay. But Sweet Drizzle Cookie is Shadow Milk's successor. And so yeah, okay. And then Vanilla Rose Syrup Cookie is Pure Vanilla Cookie's successor. Okay. Okay. And then, so here's my Eternal Sugar Cookie design. Her and Holly Berry are married, but they don't wear a ring, because I don't think cookies wear rings. And even if they did, I feel like it'd have to be a bracelet, because cookies don't have fingers. So, yeah. Okay. But here's my Holly Berry design as well. I do want to redo it so I can make her a little bit thicker, because I know, you know, I don't want to make her skinny, because I know she's canonically a little thicker. But I really suck at drawing different body types. But I think I can do it now, so I will try. Okay. Excuse me. Alright, so this is Everlasting Spring Cookie. I did color her hair wrong. It's supposed to be lighter. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah. So this is her. She is Eternal Sugar Cookie's successor, okay? This is Pink Hyacinth Cookie. She is Holly Berry Cookie's successor, and as you can see, I made her a little more thicker to practice, because one, I did want her to be thicker, and two, I didn't need to practice. So I think that it worked a little bit. I think she's still kind of skinny, but I tried. I really did. I swear. Alright, so this is Pavlova Cookie. He lives in the garden. Because Eternal Sugar Cookie still doesn't allow him to leave. Holly Berry has tried to convince Eternal Sugar Cookie to let him go, but She just won't. That's the one thing she won't budge on. So he often watches over the children, especially when they were younger, you know. And this is my Sugarfly design. She does not live in the garden, okay? But she is dating Pavlova Cookie, and so Eternal Sugar Cookie doesn't force her to stay in the garden, but thanks to Hollyberry, it does allow her to visit to see Pavlova Cookie. Okay, this is my Mystic Flower design. I've already said this, but I'll say it again. I'm changing this to white because I think it would look better. So yeah, but that's her. She smiles a little bit now. It obviously isn't showing here, but since having her kid, which I'll show you in just a second, she's a lot happier, and you know, she still wants that apathy, but she's a little more like not apathetic now. Whenever she had just baked her son, she was just so amazed at how something could be so tiny and so fragile, and you know, and that she was entrusted to that. Alright, now this is her son, Brown Sugar Cookie. I love him. His design's very simple, yet very cute in my opinion, so, you know. But yeah, he's Mystic Flower Cookie's successor. Some things about him. He looks very calm, just like his mother, but he has really bad anger issues. He just does. Sometimes he gets misgendered a lot because of his veil, and canonically he has more girly features. Like, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's not gonna focus. Okay, I don't know, but he does have eyelashes, so and for now, that is where we will stop. I will go more into detail in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.